Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir wa tammim bil khair. Lesson number 16. And inshallah, in today's lesson, we have a very important and a very interesting idea, which is the plural of irrational, ghayru aqil. And we have learned already, and inshallah, we will practice more, that ghayru aqil is treated as she. It is treated as singular feminine. In the previous lessons, we have discussed that there are two types of creations, aqilun wa ghayru aqilin. Aqilun are three. Do you remember what are those? Humans, angels, and jinns, right? So we have learned that humans, angels, and jinns, they are aqil, and they are rational, and the rest of the creations, they are irrational beings. They are called ghayru aqil. And one of the patterns of diptot, or the noun that is partially flexible, is mafa'ilu. Now I have already provided you with 6 patterns of the nouns that are partially flexible, and all of them have been used in the Quran, and all of them are very, very important. We have learned af'alu, which is akbaru, we can see over here. So on the pattern of af'alu, we have akbaru. Similarly, we have fa'ala'u, and on the pattern of fa'ala'u, we have safra'u. Then we have fu'ala'u. We have learned this pattern, which is fuqara'u. Af'ila'u, we learned in the previous lesson, and the noun is anbiya'u. And in today's lesson, inshallah, we will focus on mafa'ilu, which is, as we can see over here, masajidu, mosques or masjids. So today's pattern is mafa'ilu that we need to focus on. And the last one is mafa'ilu. And on this pattern, we have the noun masabihu. And we call them that these are the patterns of diptot. That means they are partially flexible. They do not accept tanween. And generally, they do not accept kasra. Plural of demonstrative pronouns. We have learned that hadha and hadhihi. The plural for hadha and hadhihi is ha'ula'i for both of them. For example, hadha mudarrisun and hadhihi mudarrisatun. But when we talk about the plural, we say ha'ula'i mudarrisuna and ha'ula'i mudarrisatun. And similarly, we have seen that the plural of tilka and dhalika is ulaika. For example, tilka talibatun, dhalika talibun. But when we talk about the plural, it will be ulaika tullabun and ulaika talibatun. This is the rational. We are talking about the rational beings, about aqil. So when we talk about aqil, we use ha'ula'i and we use ulaika for the plural. But in today's lesson, our focus is on ghayru aqil. So when we talk about ghayru aqil, something very interesting happens. And what is that? For example, when we talk about aqilun, we say hadha mudarrisun and ha'ula'i mudarrisuna. And these are teachers. So hadha mudarrisun, subject and predicate, singular and singular. And similarly, ha'ula'i mudarrisuna, ha'ula'i is plural and mudarrisuna is also plural. But what happens when we talk about ghayru aqil? In ghayru aqil, for the singular, the idea is the same. For example, we say hadha kitabun. Hadha is singular and kitabun is singular. But when we talk about the plural, for example, we have learned that the plural of kitabun is kutubun. So when you say kutubun, now we will not say ha'ula'i kutubun. That will be a mistake. We will say hadhihi kutubun. Something very interesting, as we can see over here. So hadhihi kutubun. And why do we say hadhihi? Because this is the plural of ghayru aqil. And we know that the plural of ghayru aqil is considered as singular feminine. So that's why the ishara that we are using, or the subject that we are using, has to be for the singular feminine. So we will say hadhihi kutubun. Similarly, hadhihi sa'atun, and this is a watch. And hadhihi sa'atun. If the noun is feminine, and we talk about the plural as feminine as well, but when it is ghayru aqil, then we know that we have to use hadhihi, because sa'atun is feminine, and similarly sa'atun is also feminine. But for both, we have to use هذه. Why do we have to use هذه for both of them? Because the first one is feminine. Originally, it's feminine. And the second one is the plural of غير عاقل. And we know that the plural of غير عاقل is considered as singular feminine. And IR means irrational beings or irrational noun. So please be with me and focus on this idea, because this idea is very, very important. Also in the Quran, it has been used a lot. And inshallah, if we get a very good hold of this idea from now, our learning of Arabic language, inshallah, will be much easier. More of the examples over here. Al-mudarrisu jadidun. Al-mudarrisu is the subject and jadidun is the predicate. Similarly, when we talk about al-mudarrisuna, then we know that al-mudarrisuna is plural and jududun is also plural. But when we talk about ghayru aqil, we say al-qalamu jadidun. The pen is new. Al-qalamu is singular and jadidun is singular. But when we talk about al-aqlamu, we know that the plural of qalamun is al-aqlamu. So now you can see the predicate has changed, and instead of jududun, we have jadidatun. Al-aqlamu jadidatun. The pens are new. Now, why do we have jadidatun? Because al-aqlamu becomes feminine, and it becomes feminine and feminine singular, not plural. Please remember that it becomes feminine and it will be singular. So when we have the subject is singular feminine, then the predicate also has to be singular feminine. Similarly, as-sayyaratu jadidatun, the car is new. So as-sayyaratu is singular and jadidatun is also singular. And when we say as-sayyaratu, the cars, it is plural, and the predicate will be jadidatun, it will be singular feminine. Now as-sayyaratu is the plural, right? It is the plural. But why the subject is singular? Why the subject is singular? Because we have to follow the same idea. What is the idea? That the plural of ghayru aqil will be considered as feminine. That's number one. And number two, it will be singular. It will be singular. So as-sayyaratu, now it is treated as singular feminine. So this is the subject, and we know that the subject and predicate are equal in number and gender. So as-sayyaratu is feminine and singular. And similarly, jadidatun is feminine and it is also singular. So I hope, inshallah, the idea is clear now. And now we can move on to the text over here. All right, so Ad-Darsu As-Sadis Ashara, lesson number 16. It will become feminine. So whenever we have irrational, and for the irrational, when we have the plural, it becomes singular feminine. It becomes what? Singular feminine. It's not only for writing, it's the rule of Arabic language. So it's like whenever we have the plural of irrational, that becomes singular feminine. For example, if we see over here, al-mudarrisu, the teacher, liman hadhihi al-aqlamu ya Muhammadu. Who are these pens for, O Muhammad? Now we know that hadhihi is used for singular feminine. It is used for what? Singular feminine. So why do we use here singular feminine? Because we know al-aqlamu is the plural of pen, right? Qalamun, and the plural of qalamun is aqlamu, and the plural of irrational being is considered as singular, and also it is considered as feminine. So if you see here, we say hadha qalamun, this is a pen, but when we talk about the plural aqlamun, then we will say hadhihi aqlamun, hadhihi aqlamun. Who are these pens for? Muhammadun hiya li ya ustadu, and these are mine, O teacher. So we can see that here refers to what? It refers to al-aqlam. So that's why Muhammad says, hiya li ya ustadu, these are mine, O teacher. Al-mudarrisu, the teacher, hiya jamilatun jiddan. These are very beautiful. Jamilatun, beautiful, and jiddan means very. And then there is a small pause, and after that the teacher says, وَهَذِهِ الْكُتُبُ الْجَدِيدَةُ أَهِيَ لَكَ. And the teacher says, and these new books, are these yours? Do they belong to you? Yes, pen is masculine, but when we say pens in Arabic, it will be singular feminine. It will be singular and it will be feminine. Exactly. So now we can see here al-kutubu, is the plural, is the broken plural. So this is singular feminine, and this is mawsuf, and we know that mawsuf and sifa are equal in capacity, gender, number, and status. So that's why al-kutubu al-jadidatu. So al-jadidatu is also singular, and it is also feminine. وَهَذِهِ الْكُتُبُ الْجَدِيدَةُ أَهِيَ لَكَ. And the teacher says, now we can see over here that هَذَا kitabun, but when we say kutubun, then it becomes هَذِهِ. So it becomes singular feminine. So the teacher says, these are very beautiful, and these new books are these yours, So now we can see over here, the idea is very clear that whenever we have the plural of غير عاقل, then it is treated as singular feminine, and it will be carried out all the way. For example, the same idea goes for the noun, and the same idea goes for the verb. We haven't started verb yet, but inshallah, when we start the verb, the idea will be the same. Muhammadun, Muhammad, la, no, hiya li Hamidin, and these belong to Hamid. So very simple sentence. Hiya is used for singular feminine, so these belong to Hamid. Now, there is a question. It says, is it strictly applied to inanimate objects only, غير عاقل? Yes, it is strictly applied to the غير عاقل. And also, please remember that the exceptions will always be there. The exceptions will always be there. So we have to prepare ourselves, because this rule is something like, it's a rule that we are making. And then whenever there is a rule, because it's a language, in rule, there are some exceptions as well. So inshallah, in the end of the lesson, I will show you some exceptions from the Quran. But as of now, we stick to the same idea that whenever we have the plural of the irrational beings, it will be treated as singular feminine. Al-Mudarrisu, the teacher, Aina dafatirakum ya ikhwanu. Okay, now please check over here. Hada daftarun, this is a notebook, and hadihi dafatiru. Hadihi dafatiru. Now, do you see it doesn't have tanween over here? Why it doesn't have tanween? Does anyone remember? Because it comes on the pattern of mafa'ilu. So whenever a noun comes on the pattern of mafa'ilu, then it will not accept tanween. So that's why we say dafatiru. So aina dafatirakum ya ikhwanu, where are your notebooks, O brothers? And Aliyun says, huna hiya huna, these are here, ala hadha al-maktabi, on this desk. These are here on this desk, or on the desk. Ala hadha al-maktabi, on this desk, in fact. Okay. Now, if you see, hiya means she, right? It means she, and we know that this is used for singular feminine. But when you translate it in English, it will be these. In English, it will be these. So this idea is completely different from English. In English, for singular, we use this, and for the plural, we use these. But in Arabic, for singular, we use hiya. And if it is the broken plural of غير عاقل, then it is also treated as hiya. So alhamdulillah, it's a very small but very interesting lesson, very important idea. So I'm sure inshallah the idea is clear now, and now we can move on to the exercises. Tamarinu, ta'ammal, that means to ponder or to reflect. Ta'ammalil amthilat al-atiyata, reflect on the following examples. Al-mufradu means singular. So singular, we say hadha talibun jadidun. This is a new student. Huwa min America, he is from America. Al-jam'u, for the plural, we say ha'ulai tullabun jududun. These are new students. Of course, because we are talking about the plural of aqil or rational, so that's why we will say ha'ulai. We have seen that the plural of hadha is ha'ulai. So ha'ulai tullabun jududun. These are new students. Hum min America, they are from America. Al-mufradu hadha kitabun jadidun huwa min America. Now, the first one is about aqil, and the second one is about ghayru aqil, irrational being. So, hadha kitabun jadidun, this is a new book. Huwa min America, it is from America. But when we talk about the plural, and now we can see over here, al-jam'u, it will be hadhihi kutubun jadidatun. Two changes have taken place. The first change that has taken place, the ismul ishara has, or the subject has changed. And number two, kutubun, because it is singular feminine, and this is mawsuf, That's why the sifa has to be also singular feminine, so it will be kutubun jadidatun. So two changes have taken place. Subject has changed, and similarly the predicate has changed according to the noun that we have over here. So it will be hadhihi kutubun jadidatun. These are new books. Hiya min America. These are from America. So we know that kutubun will be treated as singular feminine. So that's why we will say hiya min America. So the same idea that we discussed in the beginning of the lesson, it continues over here in Arabic. Now what we have to do, a very simple exercise, lots of practice over here. حول المبتدأ في كل من الجمل الآتية إلى جمع. So what we have to do now, we have to change the subject in each of the sentence into plural. Example is هذا بيت, this is a house, and هذه بيوت, these are houses. We know that the plural of بيت is بيوت, these are houses. هذا نجم, this is a star, and نجوم. So what should we use for نجوم? هذا or هذه? هذه, excellent. هذه نجوم. هذا درس, this is a lesson, and هذه دروس, these are lessons. And also look at the pattern. The pattern is فعول, نجوم, دروس. So these two patterns are the same. You know the patterns of Jam' al-Mukassar, the broken plural. We know that the broken plural has lots of patterns, so you need to focus on the patterns as well. هذا قلم, this is a pen, and هذه أقلام, these are pens. هذا باب, this is a door, and هذه أبواب, these are doors. هذا نهر, and this is a river, and هذه أنهار, these are rivers. Now these three, they come on the pattern of أفعال. أفعال, أقلام, أبواب, أنهار. So they follow the pattern of أفعال. Then we have هذا جبل, this is a mountain, and the plural will be هذه جبال, it is on the pattern of فعال, these are mountains. Okay. هذا كلب, this is a dog, and now we want to say these are dogs. Now in English we say these are dogs, but in Arabic what will we say? هذه كلاب, these are dogs. It also comes on the pattern of فعال. هذا بحر, this is a sea, and now we want to say these are seas. So هذه بحار, on the pattern of فعال, بحار. بحار has also been used in the Quran. Then we have هذا كتاب, this is a book, and the plural is كتب, so we will say هذه كتب. So here we have the different pattern of the plural. First we have فعال, and here we have the pattern of فعل, and on the pattern of فعل we have كتب. Similarly, هذا حمار, this is a donkey, and the plural of donkey is حمر. So هذه حمر. Now you can see here, because donkey it's an animal, and غير عاقل in Arabic, it is treated as singular feminine. هذا سرير, this is a bed, and هذه سرور, these are beds. So now we can see that these three, كتب, حمر, and سرور, they come on one pattern, and the pattern is فعل. Okay, what is so special about the next pattern? Yes, please, who will tell me? There is something special about this pattern. Who will tell me? This is a diptote, excellent. So that's why I have mentioned over here that it is on the pattern of mafa'ilu, and that means it is mamnuun min as-sarf. It will not accept tanween. So that's why we can see هذا دفتر, this is a notebook, and the plural will be هذه دفاتر, no tanween. Excellent. Similarly, we have هذا مكتب, this is a desk, and هذه مكاتب, these are desks. And similarly, هذا فندق, this is a hotel, and هذه فنادق, these are hotels. So any noun that comes on the pattern of mafa'ilu, it will be diptote, it will be mamnu'un min as-sarf. هذه ساعة, this is a watch, and ساعة, it will be هذه ساعة. Similarly, هذه سيارة, this is the car, and the plural will be the same, هذه سيارات. Then we have هذه طائرة, this is an aeroplane, and the plural is هذه طائرات. These are aeroplanes. ذلك نجم. You need to be careful over here. Yes, ذلك نجم. We want to say those are stars. نجوم. Excellent. So it will be tilka nujumun. Perfect. Because this is very interesting about these books, that we will be following one pattern and we might be thinking that we have to use هذه هذه هذه. All of a sudden we have two sentences that are different. So ذلك, and we know that the feminine for ذلك is tilka. So we say tilka nujumun. And tilka sayyaratun, that is a car. And we want to say those are cars. So we will say tilka sayyaratun, those are cars. Excellent. So now we can see that we have lots of practice over here. And the reason we have lots of practice over here is because this is a very, very important idea in Arabic language. And also it's very interesting, as we can see, interesting things are happening. So that's why we need to make sure that we spend lots of time and we try to understand it completely. Ashir means to point towards something. This is also fi'l al-amr. Ashir ila al-asma' al-atiyati, point towards the following nouns. Bismi isharatin munasibin lil qaribi, by using a suitable pronoun or ismul ishara, demonstrative pronoun ismul ishara for near distance. Hada, hadihi, and haula'i. So now we have to use hada, hadihi, and haula'i. Okay, so for rajulun, what should we use? Rajulun, yes. So we will say hada rajulun. Okay, what about rijalun? Haula'i rijalun, because rijalun is the plural of rajulun and rajulun is aqil, so that's why it is rational, so that's why we say rijalun. Kalbun, a dog, so we will say hada kalbun, this is a dog. Excellent. Kilabun, dogs, so we will say hadihi kilabun. Excellent, these are dogs. Durusun, lessons, these are lessons. Okay, so because car is feminine, right? هذه سيارة, car is feminine. And the plural of car is سيارات. Car is غير عاقل, and the plural of غير عاقل is treated as singular feminine. So that's why we will say هذه سيارات. So هذه سيارة وهذه سيارات. Okay, durusun, so we will say هذه durusun. Okay, what about مدرسون? What should we use? Haula'i mudarrisuna, these are teachers. Okay, akhawati, these are my sisters. So what should we say? Haula'i akhawati, these are my sisters, because sisters, of course, it's rational. Aqlamun, pens. So what should we use? Haula'i or hadihi or hada? Hadihi aqlamun. Excellent. Perfect. Then we have kitabun. What should we use for kitabun? Hada kitabun, haulai kitabun, or hadihi kitabun? Hada kitabun. Okay, excellent. Then we have sayyaratun. Yeah, this one. Okay, sayyaratun. So what should we use for the cars? We will say hadihi sayyaratun. These are cars. Okay, now for sayyaratun, for one car, we will say hadihi sayyaratun. And if we have more than 2, 3, 4, 5 cars, sayyaratun, we know that the plural of ghayru aqil is singular and it is feminine. So that's why for singular feminine, we have to use hadihi. So subject and predicate are equal in number and gender. Hadihi is used for singular and it is used for feminine. So that's why we will say hadihi sayyaratun. These are cars. Okay, sayyaratun. What should we use for sayyaratun? We will say hadihi sayyaratun. This is a car. Okay. Now here we have hadihi because sayyaratun is feminine, and for the feminine we have to use hadihi. Sayyaratun is the plural of sayyaratun, and we know that this is the plural of irrational being, and the plural of irrational being is singular feminine. So that's why for both we have to use hadihi. Okay. Himarun means donkey. So you want to say this is a donkey, so we will say hada himarun. Kutubun, it's a broken plural, so what should we say? هذه كتب. Excellent. حمر is the plural of حمار. حمر, donkeys. So we will say هذه حمر. Excellent. عين. Okay, what about عين? هذه عين. Okay. Why do we use هذه with عين? Who remembers the idea? Because it's a part of the human body which comes in pairs. Yes, pairs. Excellent. Because we have two eyes. Okay, so that's why we know that the parts of the human body that comes in pairs, they are singular feminine. So that's why we say هذه عين. طبيبة, doctor. So we will say هذه طبيبة. But when we talk about طبيبات, you need to be very careful. What should we use here? طبيبات. هؤلاء طبيبات. Excellent. These are doctors. Now we know طبيبة is aqil, and the plural of aqil is طبيبات. So that's why for the plural of aqil, we have to use هؤلاء. Okay, excellent. We can do one more exercise. أشر للأسماء الآتية. Now again, we have to point towards the following nouns. باسم إشارة مناسب للبعيد. So now we have to use اسم الإشارة for far distance, something that is بعيد. ذلك, tilka, and أولئك. So now we have to use ذلك, tilka, and أولئك. So it's based on the previous lesson, the previous exercise. The idea is the same, only Asma'ul Ishara have been changed. First we used for qarib, and now we have to use for ba'id. Okay, talibun. So what should we say? ذلك talibun. Excellent. That is a student. Those are students. What should we say? أولئك طلاب. Those are students. That is a star. Najmun. So we will say ذلك najmun. That is a star. Nujumun. Those are stars. Now you want to say those are stars. So what shall we say? Tilka nujumun. Tilka nujumun. Not ulaika. Tilka nujumun. Because it is the plural of غير aqil. So that's why we will say tilka nujumun. Okay. Bintun. What should we say for bintun? Bintun. Tilka bintun. Excellent. Okay. Banatun. What about banatun? What should we say? No. Ulaika banatun. Ulaika. Yes. Because bintun is aqil. Okay. So the plural of aqil will be ulaika. And the plural of ghayru aqil will be tilka. So we need to be slightly careful about it. Yes. So when we have the plural of aqil, of rational being, we say ulaika. And when we have the plural of ghayru aqil, then we say tilka. Okay, banatun, exactly. Yeah. Ulaika banatun, perfect. Number 7, darrajatun, bicycle. So we say tilka darrajatun. Darrajatun, bicycles. What should we use for the bicycles? Tilka darrajatun. Excellent. Those are bicycles. Sarirun means bed. You want to say that is a bed. So you will say dhalika sarirun. That is a bed. Okay, sururun is the plural of sarirun. So what should we say? Tilka sururun. Excellent. Tilka sururun. Okay, dajajatun, hen or chicken. So we will say tilka dajajatun. Okay, that is a chicken or that is a hen. Mudarrisatun, teacher. So what should we say? Tilka mudarrisatun. Okay. Mudarrisatun. All right. So what should be the ismul ishara that we need to use over here? Mudarrisatun. Ulaika mudarrisatun. Excellent. Ulaika mudarrisatun. Hajjun, a pilgrim. So you want to say that is a pilgrim. So you will say dhalika hajjun. Hujjajun is the plural of hajjun. Those are pilgrims. So we will say Ulaika hujjajun. Excellent. Then we have masjidun, and we want to say that is a masjid. So we will say dhalika masjidun. And sayyaratun. What should we say for sayyaratun? It will be tilka sayyaratun. Perfect. Those are cars. All right. So now we have a summary of what we have learned today over here. As we can see, أسماء الإشارة للقريب هذا طالب and هؤلاء طلاب هذه طالبة and هؤلاء طالبات. So what basically we need to know that for the near distance for aqil, for the plural, ismul ishara will be the same. And similarly for the far distance, ذلك طالب and أولئك طلاب, تلك طالبة and أولئك طالبات. Ismul ishara will be أولئك for the aqil or for the rational beings. But when we talk about asma'ul isharati lil qaribi ghayrul aqil, so when we talk about irrational beings, so we say hadha baytun and hadhihi buyutun. So the difference, as you can see over here, instead of saying haulai buyutun, we have to say hadhihi buyutun. Similarly, we have hadhihi sayyaratun, and we will say hadhihi sayyaratun. And for lil ba'id, when we talk about far distance, so for ghayrul aqil, we say dhalika baytun and tilka buyutun. So we use tilka instead of ulaika. And similarly, tilka sayyaratun, and similarly, tilka sayyaratun. So now for ghayrul aqil, we cannot use ulaika and we cannot use haulai. However, exceptions are always there. Now, if you look at some of the examples from the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وبشر الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات أن لهم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار. Jannat is the plural of jannatun. And you see the attached pronoun that is being used is ha. We use ha for what? For singular feminine. So here, do we have singular feminine? Yes. Where is the singular feminine? The plural of jannatun. So that's why we have tahtiha. Tilka hududullahi fala taqrabuha. Now we see that the plural of haddun is hududun. And that's why the ismul ishara that has been used is what? Tilka. We don't have ulaika hududullahi, we have tilka hududullahi because hududun is the plural of haddun, and haddun is singular, and it is singular, and the plural will be treated as singular feminine, and that's why the pronoun that we have wala taqrabuha, and we know that ha is also used for the singular feminine. Wa'tul buyuta min abwabiha baytun, and the plural of baytun is buyutun, and that's why the attached pronoun that is being used for buyut is ha. So the same idea over here. Alif lam ra, tilka ayatul kitabil mubin. Ayat is the plural of what? Do you remember? Ayat is the plural of ayatun. So that's why you can see in the Quran, it is tilka ayatul kitabil mubin. Similarly, we have إذ قال لأبيه وقومه ما هذه التماثيل التي أنتم لها عاكفون. Tamthilun is used for statue, and the plural is tamathilu. So now we can see over here that at-tamathilu, because it's the plural of tamthilun, that's why it is hadhihi at-tamathilu. And you see the relative pronoun that is used is also allati. We know that allati is used for singular feminine. So that's why we have allati, and similarly we have hadhihi. What for? For at-tamathil. And we know that at-tamathil is the plural of tamthilun, and that means images or statues. وَتِلْكَ الْأَمْثَالُ نَضْرِبُهَا لِلنَّاسِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. And again, amthal is the plural of mithalun. That's why we have here tilka. And similarly, ha is used for al-amthalu. So now from the Quran, it is confirmed whenever we are learning the rules, we have to make sure that we look for the rules in the Quran, so that whenever we are learning, we make sure that we understand it properly. Now here, I would like to show you, as I told you in the beginning of the lesson, that, okay, so here what we have the examples of mafa'ilu from the Quran, the pattern of mafa'ilu. Ya ayyuhan nasu inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. Now you can see over here, قَبَائِلَ. We have waw, and we know that waw is used to connect two similar nouns. What are the two similar nouns? We have شُعُوبًا. شُعُوبًا has tanween, but قَبَائِلَ, does it have tanween? It doesn't have tanween, right? Why it doesn't have tanween? Because it is on the pattern of mafa'il. So that's why it is qaba'ila, and it's not qaba'ilan. Similarly, we have in the Quran, hada'iqa wa a'naba wa kawa'iba atraba. So hada'iqa, وأعنابا. So it's not حدائقا وأعنابا, it is حدائق وأعنابا, because حدائق is on the pattern of مفاعل. That's why it does not accept tanween. Similarly, كواعب, yeah, it's maful. It's on the pattern of mafailu, so that's why we have وكواعب أترابا. So it is mawsuf and this is sifa. And mawsuf and sifa should be equal in number, gender, capacity, and status. So how are they equal? This is mansub and this is also mansub. But we can see that this is mansub with fatha and this is mansub with fathatan, and we know that it does not accept tanween. وَلَهُمْ فِيهَا مَنَافِعُ وَمَشَارِبُ. From the Quran again, مَنَافِعُ وَمَشَارِبُ. It's not مَنَافِعٌ وَمَشَارِبٌ. Why? Because it is on the pattern of مَفَاعِلُ. However, please, now you need to be ready for this, that whenever we have al with that, whenever we have al with the pattern of mafa'ilu, then it will accept kasra. It will accept kasra. For example, min Allahi dhil ma'arij. Ma'ariju, as we know that ma'ariju is on the pattern of mafa'ilu. Mafa'ilu, ma'ariju. However, now we can see that it accepts kasra. Why does it accept kasra? It accepts kasra because it has al with that. So it's a very, very important thing that you need to notice, that whenever you have a noun that comes on the pattern of mafa'ilu, it does not accept kasra. It does not accept kasra. However, when we have al with that, then it will accept kasra, as you can see over here. And here, the last thing that we need to know, that examples of hunna for irrational from the Quran. So we have seen that for irrational, we don't use hunna. However, in the Quran, you can see that, yes, only with this pattern. In the Quran, you can see that it can be used for two reasons. You need to know two reasons. Number one, you can say that it is an exception. But number two, the real reason is it is used for the purpose of emphasis. When there is a significant idea, and to signify the importance of that idea, then in the Quran, instead of using irrational being and the idea of ghayru aqil, then in the Quran, the real pronoun is used, which is hunna. For example, we have over here, هو الذي أنزل عليك الكتاب منه آيات محكمات هن أم الكتاب. Now here it's hunna, it's not hiya. Hunna أم الكتاب وأخر متشابهات. Now we know that ayat is the plural of ayatun, and we have seen tilka ayatullah, we have seen over there. But if it is for the purpose of emphasis, as we can see in the Quran, then you can see hunna is also used, as we can see over here. That's number one. Number two, ummun has different meanings. It doesn't only mean mother or biological mother. Ummun also means foundation. And also in the Quran we have فَأُمَّهُ هَاوِيَةٌ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا هِيَ نَارٌ حَامِيَةٌ. The place of residence, that is also called ummun. So ummun has three different meanings. Ummun means the mother. Similarly, Ummul Kitab means the foundation of the Kitab. And in the Quran, we have فَأُمَّهُ هَاوِيَةٌ, that means the place of residence. And in Surah Al-Mulk, we have أَوَلَمْ يَرَوْا إِلَى الطَّيْرِ فَوْقَهُمْ صَافَّاتٍ وَيَقْبِضْنَ مَا يُمْسِكُهُنَّ إِلَّا الرَّحْمَنُ إِنَّهُ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ بَصِيرٌ. Now you can see here, مَا يُمْسِكُهُنَّ. We know that الطَّيْر is a plural of طَائِرٌ. طَائِرٌ means a bird. طَائِرٌ means what? A bird. And the plural is الطَّيْر. So it should be singular feminine, so it should be ha, right? Ma yumsiku ha. But as we can see in the Quran, that it is being used as hunna. And the reason why I am introducing this to you, because from the beginning of the lesson, we have been learning that the plural of singular feminine is treated as singular feminine. Sorry, the plural of irrational is treated as singular feminine. However, in the Quran, in rare cases, it's like you can say 5% of the cases in the Quran or the verses of the Quran where you will see that instead of ha, the verb hunna is used, and we know that hunna is used for the feminine, plural feminine, right? Hunna. So this is the thing that you need to know, and the reason why I'm bringing these things to you, so that you don't get confused. And whenever you are reciting the Quran, now you should know that 95% of the cases, the plural of irrational being is treated as singular feminine. However, in the Quran, either you can say it's an exception, or you can say that it's for the purpose of emphasis, that instead of treating it as irrational irrational being, غير عاقل, it is treated as rational, it is treated as عاقل. So Alhamdulillah, our lesson is finished. I hope inshallah the idea is clear. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.